Dr. Lorian, for your very generous comments. I am thrilled to be here today. People may ask, why Towson? I was graduated from Towson when it was a teacher preparation institution. The lessons I learned on this campus are lessons that have guided me through my career. I have continued to have multiple interactions with this university and its faculty, and I cannot think of a better place to make this a national model for teacher and leadership preparation and continuing education. I wanted to work with a visionary leader, and Dr. Lusky is that visionary leader. She believes deeply in the core mission of this university, which has been education. And that is obvious as she articulated the strategic goals of the university toward 2016. Throughout my career, I have been guided by a single philosophy, and that philosophy is, what is in the best interest of our students? And how can we achieve the goal of ensuring that our students can be successful within this ever-changing society? And now, as the globe shrinks, within this shrinking globe and the incredible competition these students must face, I believe in leadership development. I've never seen a great school, and I've seen great schools all over the world that did not have a great leader. And that is a responsibility we must assume. Things are changing, and they're changing for the best, in my opinion. There is a body of knowledge about the learner, and so many times we focus on the content, on the curriculum, on what must be taught. But it is truly the learner which will make us successful or unsuccessful. The body of knowledge on the neuroscience of the learner is profound at this time. And if we wish to make every student successful, it is our obligation to know what that research tells us. Every person in this room today has a different learning profile. Every child in every classroom has a different learning profile. And so we are interested in the research on neuroscience, because without an understanding, we will not achieve success for every student. Now, I am a huge admirer of the talent that resides across this campus, and I hope to be able to use that talent as we move forward toward our goal of a national and international model for education. And I want to thank all of the faculty members who are here in this room today for their continued contribution. As a state superintendent and working in a local school system prior to that, I was excited when I received the resume of a person who was prepared at Towson University. I knew the quality of that preparation was exquisite. We want to accelerate that greatness. However, even on this campus, we cannot do it alone. We have to build critical partnerships. And so I'd like to share my vision for some of those partnerships. Neuroscience tells us that therefore we have to be devoted to what we're doing in terms of early childhood education. And so I want to build a partnership with entities like the Maryland Family Network, which was so instrumental with the people at the State Department of Education, that Maryland was selected to receive a $50 million grant to move forward the whole notion that the education of young children is critical to the success of children as they matriculate through the school systems. We've talked about STEM today, and I express my gratitude for the willingness of Towson University to be part of this national effort to increase the number of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics students who can then populate our classrooms. I heard a recent statistic that was more than alarming, and that was that we have fewer people in the STEM arena than we had in the 50s. And as I worked with the National Academy of Sciences to look at America's competitiveness, I am struck with the urgency of the need to promote STEM education as we hope to compete with countries across this world. And if one doesn't believe that it's alarming, please read the report, Rising Above the Gathering Storm. And the storm is what is happening in this country. I am devoted to the arts as a burgeoning harpist. I'm now taking lessons at Peabody. I have all my life believed in the arts. When one talks about what are the skills of the 21st century, we talk about critical thinking. We talk about integration of knowledge and application of knowledge. Nothing does it better than the arts. Towson stepped forward, Towson University, to create really the first arts integration program. That was important because often when budgets are cut in local schools, the first people in jeopardy are those who teach the arts. The arts have so much to teach us. Working with someone like Marianne Mears and the cultural institutions of this state and galvanizing them as they are willing to do to provide opportunities for our students and our teachers. The arts need to be prominent in all we do. 14% of our children are children who have disabilities. And yet the federal mandate is an inclusion of those children in regular classrooms. And so we ask teachers, what's happening with those children? Do you really know how to work with them and their different learning needs? Most teachers would be honest with you and say, I'm not prepared to do that. I am working to build a strong relationship with the Kennedy Krieger Institute, both in terms of the expertise of the Kennedy Krieger Institute and the ability to prepare leaders in special education who can populate our schools. And so this is an important consideration. Digital learning was mentioned that our children, one only has to walk into an Apple store and see 3- and 4-year-olds sitting at a table using digital devices. But it's more than an understanding of the hardware. It's an ability to understand in a quality way how digital learning can achieve our goals and deliver outstanding educational opportunity to every student. And there are great thought leaders that populate this state and this country who are doing just that. And we need to be on the cutting edge of what's happening in terms of digital learning. I've received a lot of recognition today, and as I scan this audience, I see many of my colleagues from the Maryland State Department of Education. One never does these things alone. It's always being part of a team. And it is the team that we want to build here and beyond, which will help us reach these ambitious goals. We are now in this 21st century, and if there is one skill that will define success in the 21st century, it will be innovation, an innovative culture. And children have naturally an ability for innovation. I am not sure that we always develop that capacity within our children, beyond the didactic to the sense of innovation. I want to elevate the profession. Teaching and learning is the most respected process that will keep a nation on the forefront of success. But this effort would not be possible if it were not for a few people who absolutely believe in it, beyond our president, a real visionary leader, beyond Ray Lorian, beyond many of you sitting in the room. It does take resources to be able to achieve these goals. So at the risk of any redundancy, I'd like to say a few words about a few people who are here. Ed St. John, you've heard about his philanthropic contributions. Ed St. John is among my husband, my closest friends, is an amazing man who thinks beyond his own success to what is going to seed innovation in so many other ways that will make this state and this nation better. He's a person who probes every single statement you make, and I'm sure today he'll probe some that I'm making. He is not only generous, he is brilliant, he is strategic. And I will tell you, beyond his financial contribution, he's a person that I would go to for his strategic thought process, accompanied by Sharon Akers, who has engaged herself in this educational arena and wants so deeply to achieve the mission of the foundation, the Ed St. John Foundation, so that every child has a chance to be successful. Vince Talbert has taught me a lot, and I want to be honest, Vince, in saying where we met. We met at the gym. We exercised together. He's a little more loyal than I am. But I want to say that I became fascinated by his philosophy, his largesse of his interpretation of education, beyond the narrow confines of what have traditionally been the colleges of education, to an entire campus. He has galvanized a group of thought leaders, and some of them are actually here today, who are looking at this whole digital learning and how it accelerates opportunities for students, teachers, and leaders. And so he has been a wonderful colleague, not only by his financial contribution, but by his ideas that are prolific. And I huff and puff to keep up with them. And I'd like to say that in his absence, I've met with the chancellor of the university system, and he is so enthusiastic about this initiative. So thank you in your absence, Dr. Kerwin. And finally, a person who's been a member of the Board of Regents and who is deeply committed to the success of this university and has been constant support for me. And I'd just like to mention him, David Nevins. David, stand. You've been wonderful. So as I conclude, the bottom line is, why shouldn't everyone care about education? Why shouldn't everyone want to make Towson University, the state of Maryland, and this nation the best in the world? As I conclude, I would